Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of A Moment with Carlemile. You know, it's crazy. I don't think we've done an episode of A Moment with Carlemile since, I believe, May 2017. Sheesh, it's been a while. I'm sorry for the wait. Well, I know if you've been paying attention to Carlemile.com, you know that I've been doing other things. There's been Kicks of Flicks, Freshest News. I've been developing and actually in pre-production of a new feature film right now called Idiot Boyfriend. If you guys see me on Snapchat or YouTube, I'm sure you've seen all of this stuff going on. And I'm actually developing a whole bunch of other series. We already started shooting like 12 series. I'm turning them out. It's crazy. When I first started Carlemile.com, it was just a place to put all my stuff on because I had so much videos on social media and they were all on different YouTube accounts. So I decided to put them on one site. And it was just more of a portfolio at the beginning. And now it had grown into its own, with a personal blog. And now here it is turning into its own lifestyle channel. But stay tuned for all of those things. But today I just want to, come here, tell you guys what's going on. If you haven't been hearing Mackin' with Miles every Sunday on Freshest FM at 4 p.m., then I'm sure you're not really you might not be in the loop. So I'm like, let me come here and tell you guys what's going on. Also, another new thing is that I'm on iTunes, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Google Play. If you haven't heard my podcast before, before you had to really go on my website to find it. Now you'll be able to find it on all platforms thanks to Anchor. I don't know if you guys heard of Anchor. I'm not getting paid for this, but Anchor allows you to post your podcast on any platform. I heard it from Gary Vee. And I can honestly say it works. So if you're trying to do podcasts, you might want to check that out. But I just want to talk about staying on course. A lot of times people start something and when they don't see it doing anything, like when they don't see any reaction and then when they don't see, it growing, they question themselves and then they're like, do I really want to do this? And they find themselves doing something else. What I realize is the problem is on social media, people want to come off as the experts in the beginning before they even do anything. Like, I've been making movies since I was a kid, but I can't be saying, oh, I'm as big as Steven Spielberg because I don't have the track record for that. So I couldn't make that video and try to sell anybody on that. A lot of people try to, be like, yeah, I don't want to say they try to be something they're not, but at the end of the day, they don't focus on the journey, and that's what I'm here to talk about. We need to focus on the journey. We look at social media, and there's a lot of people who have made it and are successful on social media, and we feel like we need to look like our profiles need to look like theirs, that's not true at all. What we need to do is focus on our own journey, focus on our own struggles, and figure out how to reach our own audience, our own little niche. We can't just try to get the whole world in the beginning. You just got to focus on your niche, focus on your neighborhood. If your neighborhood could see, if they could follow your story, then the whole world will want to follow your story. But maybe I'm a little biased because I'm in New York, so my neighborhood is a giant melting pot. I'm in New York, so. But I'm just saying, people, if you really try to just focus on your niche, focus on your demographic, and if you don't know what I mean by like your demographic, I'm talking about the people you're targeting, the exact people you want to buy your products or get your services, or the people that you just want them to hear your stories or hear what you got to say, figure that out. I'm an African American, so I feel that my niche should be focusing on the African American community. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, no, Carl, this is 2018, should be diverse and blah, 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 blah. And yes, I agree. I'm not saying like you can't be diverse. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying Black Panther did how much this year? And that's when that director focused on his niche for a while. And look where he is now. So, and it's not to say that I'm over here trying to bring back hood movies. They already got the Superfly remake for all that. But I'm just saying, I know what I feel. I know what the audience is missing because I am the audience, and I go to the theaters, and I know what I want to see on the big screen. And when I create those stories or create those images, I've watched other people watch my image and seeing them go, yes, this is the type of stuff I've been waiting to see. And it works. So I just have to keep going and keep producing and keep showing the journey. So that's what you got to do, people. Find out what you want to do and document the journey online. Show the journey. You know, and in the beginning, you're literally just going to be talking to yourself. But slowly but surely, one of these things you're going to do is going to go viral. And then everybody's going to look back and see how far you came. And they will sit there and watch you it all, especially if you got a playlist set up. So you just got to make sure your everything is lined up. So when you do go get, when you get popping, it's a lot easier to follow your roots. Like, oh, that's what he was doing before. Oh, snap. Look what she was at before, It's a process, people, and people forget it's a process. People think it's going to happen overnight, and there's no such thing as an overnight success. It may seem like it once things go viral and stuff like that, but, there's no such thing as an overnight success. And for the few who do get popular out of nowhere, it's hard to keep it up afterwards. It's not like they keep the same. Some people just disappear. What was that guy? What was it? Purple Chocolate Rain? Remember the Chocolate Rain guy? I think that was the Chocolate. He was one of the early YouTubers, and I think he had maybe a sponsorship deal for maybe a few commercials. But do we hear from this guy anymore? There's a lot of people on YouTube or Vine or Instagram or whatever these. There's so many platforms. There's a lot of people who go viral and they don't know how to maintain that. Being in the front view, they let it run its course and then they end up going back to their regular life, but then you got a few other people who figure out how to make a brand out of that and figure out how to either, have a service or a product to sell with it. It's just up to you at the end of the day what you want to do. I can't say, promote yourself as an expert, because if you're not an expert, don't say you are an expert, because it'll show eventually. Soon everybody's gonna realize the Emperor got no clothes on, or eventually he's gonna see he ain't got no clothes on. But you just gotta do what you gotta do, people, and show people what you're doing. Stay focused. Well, that's all I can tell you guys today. This was A Moment with Carlemile. Stay tuned. Visit carlemile.com. Subscribe to the newsletter. Get more updates. I'll see you guys soon. Much love. God bless. 2 pieces of chicken grease. Talk to you later.